Welcome to the podcast, Working Drummer. Dynamic interviews that tell you everything you need to know about being a professional drummer and a few things you may not want to know. Produced by Mike Jackson and hosted by myself, Matthew Krause. No, man, it just gives us a chance to talk to people that are doing it for a living.
Yeah.
And, some of the guys we've had on, like Ben Caesar and Jim Riley and you, are maybe going to be names that people recognize and they're going to know.
Hey, maybe, you know what? You know who's not getting a lot of press or who has never gotten a lot of press, but maybe there's some of these guys while they're still around, the Paul Limes, the Milton Sledges, the Owen Hales,
yep.
Yes. God rest his soul, Tommy Wells, passed.
His birthday is today.
Oh, I can't believe I just mentioned his name on his birthday. That's unbelievable.
His birthday is today.
He's real sweet. He's a workhorse drummer that basically did 2 or 3 sessions a day every single day. And if he wasn't doing a session, he was coaching his son's hockey team or hanging out at Forks.
Yes.
And he just loved the drums.
I believe his name has come up maybe a couple times in our talks, and he was just always the nicest guy.
Always
he always knew even if he didn't remember your name, it was always about you. How are you, man? What are you up to?
Oh, nice.
And as a matter of fact, when I first moved to town, I was working at Forks, and Tommy came in, and I said, man, I got a question for you. During a session, would you mind if I hung out with you? I'll buy you lunch. I'll just be a fly on the wall and just stand. I swear I won't get in the way. He goes, I'd love that. Please do.
That's amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
Sure, man. Come on out. Is tomorrow fine? Oh, yeah, great.
That's nice that you got that for free. I had to sign up for his $200 studio drumming class to do that.
Well, it's all who you know. Anyways.
Hey, so did we officially start? Or
yes.
Because we got to include these things.
No, yeah. We've been rolling since you sat down,
okay.
actually.
I thought we were going to do like an official, hi, we're here today.
I never do that.
Oh, my God. Okay.
I never do that.
Right.
But here's the thing about it. I don't know how or what the deal was, but I did not have any money on me or a credit card or what. I don't know where I was in life. But when we went out to lunch, I was like, holy crap, Tommy, I don't have any. Man, don't worry about it. I got you. I offered to buy him lunch so I could hang out with him, and then I show up and I don't have any money, and he buys me lunch.
How about that? Well, what goes around comes around. It's just all that karma thing. Pay it forward, man. That's why it's really interesting to think a young person would want to do that with us now. Come see our recording session, our rehearsal, or say, how does this work? And it's our responsibility. It's not a choice, really. It's it's our responsibility to say, yeah, man, come check this out. The only time where if it gets weird is if there's an artist who's really they want it to be a closed session, which is less and less common. I'm finding in Nashville, but most sessions are pretty open.
Yeah.
You could bring a thing of cookies and say, hey Keith Urban, I'm here with cookies, and you can pretty much maybe be a fly on the wall for at least a verse and a chorus.
Right.
Where in others, genres sometimes it's like, nope, closed session. Do not even think about going in there.
Right. Man, there was a video. I was searching around on some things online, looking at stuff that you've been put up, just kind of getting ready to sit down to talk to you. And you had something, it was at a sound check, and you were filming something for Modern Drummer.
Yeah.
And it seems so, not thrown together production-wise, but it was thrown together because I got to get this out there. You're going to get the information. It's not going to be all fancy and produced. Mm-hmm. But here it is. Hey, guys. What was that? Beware of the...
Oh, beware of the Juba.
The Juba.
Beware of the Juba, which is a creature that I just created, but it's just, how we all speak or sing drum. It's just like a flat flame, like Jubum, Juba. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that sounds like some sort of a scary creature from a C horror movie. And, all the articles that I have been writing for Modern Drummer, they kind of like the idea that I don't take myself too seriously. This is supposed to be fun, and so I'll come up with a funny name for the exercise or something. They kind of like that. But it's true. I was actually supposed to shoot 2 videos that day, and as you could tell, the guys are get ready to sound check. I was like, get that GoPro. Let's get this done. They want this. So.
No, but I mean, it's cool because it's in the middle of everything, and it's like, wow, hey, sound check. And I think sometimes you do sound check and there's people maybe have a special pass and they want to come and they want to see what goes on during sound check. They just want to kind of inside view. Even non-musicians, they're just a fan of the band that you're working with or whatever. So they see that, and I know that drummers are going to be like, wow, that's really good.
I've been notorious for bringing like drummers that I'll meet online, like young kids, and they'll say, you're going to be in my city in West Palm, or you're going to be in Ohio.
Right.
Can I come see your sound check? And I go meet them and I bring them in and I say, do you know this song? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, you're playing it.
Yeah, right.
And I just throw them into the fire. And the band will always tell me, they'll be like, that kid's pretty good. He's got a future. Or they'll be like, I don't know. That kid should make sure that he goes to college and gets something real safe.
Right.
But for the most part, these kids get up there and they know the material. And can you imagine being like 14 or 15 years old and being thrown into a situation where you're playing on a beautiful state-of-the-art drum set, fully mic'd up with an amazing sound man in an arena with a band that played on the record, and you go.
Right.
I mean, what a thrill.
But what is it about the kids that they know they can reach out to you as opposed to maybe another? I'm just trying to think of an example, but I think that you make yourself so accessible.
Well, we couldn't ever reach. It didn't seem like we could ever reach out to, like I'll find myself at an industry dinner with, Liberty DeVito or Carmine Appice or all these guys that I grew up loving and idolizing and playing under the records. But at the time, I didn't know how to get to them. We didn't have this internet. We didn't, and so now. I mean, I'm friends with Steve Gadd on Facebook, It's like I requested for Steve Gadd, and he said, thumbs up. I mean, you can pretty much almost, it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Now it's become even less. I think within 1 to 3 phone calls or key clicks, you can get to somebody. And it's a matter of that person being willing to being open and sharing ideas and information.
Right.
I think more and more people are open just to being transparent.
Yeah.
Less and less closed off because, what we have, being able to play the drums every single day for a living is kind of like winning the lottery or finding it's like a needle in a haystack kind of a thing.
Very much so.
So if we want to keep it, we got to give it away.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to do it forever. I mean, we take care of ourselves. Like, I just spent $20 on a fresh juice and a fresh salad. It's a lot of money, but I'm putting great ththings into my body.
Yeah.
And you are what you eat, right? And you're also, we're only going to be able to do it for, God, if I can get another 20 years out of this, I'll be 65 years old. That would be a great run, But I mean, drumming is so physical. It's athletic.
Yeah, it is.
So we have to take care of ourselves more than the saxophone player, more than the keyboard player.
Right. Well, and so you just, before we set up here, you came from a session with a trainer working out. So tell me about, how long have you been doing that? What?
I did it, and I did a boot camp in 2012. Best results I've ever gotten.
Is that here in town?
And here in town, it was like a semi-private gym, and I would go at 7:30 in the morning, and you're moving tires, and you're just doing sledgehammer stuff, and you're doing the ropes, and you're using the TRX stuff and kettlebells.
Yes.
So you're combining all these different exercises that you wouldn't traditionally do on. Okay, you're going to Planet Fitness, and there's your arm station, there's machines, and here's the circuit. That stuff. After a while, just doesn't work anymore. You're just not seeing results. You have to do extraordinary, different things with your body to get the results I think you want. And as you get older, things like flexibility is a serious issue.
Yeah.
Like on the road, I stretch twice a day. I get up in the morning and I stretch, and then I'll stretch before the show again. Because, the way we play drums, I mean, it's not a bar mitzvah. I mean, we're playing.
Right, and the gig that you're doing and the way you play. I mean, some drummers are going to be maybe a little bit more reserved. Their hands are going to be moving more than their arms.
Yeah.
Where I see you play, everything is moving, and that's part of the style in which you are playing the drums. But it's also part of the style in which you are showcasing your talents that people are seeing and being entertained by.
Yeah, those are the larger muscle groups are what I call the Hollywood muscles. Those are the Hollywood. I mean, still in drumming, it comes down to you've got the finger. So you've got your finger technique, and then you've got your lower arm, your forearms, and it's the combination. Then once you start getting into playing a higher dynamic, you get into some other muscle groups, and then once you start getting into this shoulder cap stuff and upper back, and that's what I call the Hollywood muscles. But the people out there that are it's tomorrow Saturday night we're doing a stadium show with Kenny Chesney, so 65,000 people. The guys, and what I do is I'll go up I make it a point whenever we play those stadiums, I will go up to the highest seat I could possibly. I don't like heights either. I will march up there just to get some perspective.
Yeah.
And see, like, this dude paid a full ticket price to come and sit in here, and paid too much for beer, and he's going to sit up here. And what am I going to do? I'm going to be like a little ant down there. Somehow I have to set myself apart and be an entertainer, so he can come home and maybe he'll say, Man, that's the best drummer I ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't own it. Maybe he came to see Kenny Chesney, and he goes, well, man, I really like that drummer. Maybe I'll check out this Jason Aldean guy. I don't have, and boom, I just sold 6 records for Jason Aldean because I didn't mail it in. I treated it like I'm a character actor or something, you know.
When I went to see Paul McCartney about 3 years ago,
can't miss that guy. Can't miss his drummer.
I thought, wow, here's a chance for me to see a Beatle for the first time in my life, and maybe for the first time ever or the last time ever. And I could not stop watching Abe Laboriel Jr.
I mean, he's just in it. He's
and I wonder how many other people. I mean, as a drummer, of course, I'm going to watch him, and I've been following his playing for years.
Yeah, I know people that don't like they don't know anything about music. I say, do you see McCartney's drummer? Because it's just a guy who's just shining so bright because he's in. He's like deep in his calling. Like that's his calling.
Yeah, it's
to play
insane.
the drums and sing like a bird. And
he does. Yeah. I was just listening to a live record yesterday. I'm like, oh, that's him. I hear him.
For the people that are watching the video, I must say the gym that I work out at, no shower, so that's why you're seeing this curly, interesting hair you will never see in a press shot.
We offered a shower here, man. He's got that. He's got it. When we were going to get together last week, it was very ambitious. You had CMA week, and it was really sweet of you to offer that time. And then I'm looking at him like, he's not going to have time. Sure enough, man. Can we move it? So
I just was either do the interview or sleep.
Yeah, no. I understand. Actually, before I get to that question that I kind of had set up for that day, I don't want to leave the subject here quite yet of how you balance some sort of how to keep yourself healthy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, going to the gym, eating right, sleeping. But you're a drummer. You're a musician. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe that too, man. You know, it's like I work out as much as I possibly
you're
can.
Looking great, man. I haven't seen you in a long time. You got the pull-up bar right here above our heads. You can't see
it. We're gonna demo that later. But. So I realize the importance, especially as I get older, because I still want to play. I want to play the best I can. Mm-hmm. And so part of it is, I want to be healthy so I can be around to experience my grandkids. But I also, drumming is so important to me, and I have so much fun when I have the energy and I can do everything that I want to do and do everything that I did when I was 20. But you have lots of things. You have lots of other things that are influencing you, whether it's travel, whether it's the bad influences, whether it's food or alcohol or other things or parties and different things like that. How do you balance that? Because not only that, but you have an insane schedule. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, at the higher levels of touring, there's usually at mid levels of touring there'll be local catering, and that'll vary. That's almost like a mid-level band that goes and uses the local front of house guy and backline gear. So there's a lot of acts that'll do that. So you don't know what you're going to get. So every day is a unique and exciting thing, and in this it'll be the same thing with food. And a band could put together a rider and say, well, we got one lactose intolerant guy in the band, we got one guy who's a vegan, we got one, and so they'll try to accommodate you. The lower the act is, the less likely that promoter is going to be to work with. They're just like, look, you're getting barbecue and you're getting barbecue. Because me and the guys in Aldean's band, we used to be in a band called Rushlow, and we had 2 soft hits, and we toured like crazy, and the catering was always just horrendous. And so you have to carry protein bars and stuff, and we were partying a little bit. I had a party period there, and I came out the other side, which is great. I never got to like snorting fire ants or anything like that. But now in the upper levels of touring, you have a caterer that travels with you, so you get to know through personal relationships. Gotcha. I know the guy who owns the catering company. I could say, hey, I love my tuna with like fat-free mayonnaise, like very little, and can I get a salad every day? And at the end of the show, can I have a chicken breast? And he's like, no problem.
Yeah,
we can have coffee, and there's a blender. And it's like kind of like pampered,
Yeah.
but it didn't happen overnight. We had to go through all the, funnel cakes and barbecue and all that stuff to get to the point where, you can have some of the finer points in touring, which would be like a bus with what they call a condo bunk. The condo bunk. So like for those listeners out there, a tour bus usually can accommodate 12 people. So there's 2 rows of 6 bunks on each side. Yeah. And so a condo bunk is there's only 4 on each side. So there's 8 bunks. And so you can actually sit up in your bunk. You can actually type on your laptop. There's a DVD screen that, that's my little world. When I'm at the end of the night, I pull that curtain and I do my best. My rules of the road is always take your suitcase everywhere you go, because if you leave it behind somewhere, you're going to need something. So I take that suitcase with me wherever I go, and I never pass up a hot meal. I never pass up a hot shower, and I never pass up 6 to 8 hours sleep when I could get it. Like if you can find those things, take advantage of it, because you don't know what the next one's going to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then just...
I'm like, what is in this suitcase?
Yeah, just be prepared.
What is special?
Oh, there's nothing special in the suitcase. Just, you've got your... the drummer's always got to travel a little heavier because we sweat.
Yeah.
And work way harder than everyone else.
I know. I see a guy I work with, it's like, he's been wearing the same, like, pair of clothes, or he travels very light. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, well, I can wear this shirt like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I won't make it through sound check.
I know.
Okay, so, look at
I wait to take a shower until after sound check because...
Yeah.
And then to make sure I've got a fan so I can try and hold on to some gig clothes so I don't wear them out. So
the crew guys are notorious, man, because they wear all black. And so they can pack literally for 10 days. They can have 1 pair of shorts, the workout boots, and then they only wear free swag shirts.
Yep.
And I'm like, guys, have you ever bought a shirt? They're like, no. Why would we ever buy a shirt? We have free shirts from Zildjian, DW, Oralex. It's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, that's
smart.
Awesome.
Hey, they're saving their money.
What about physical, like working out and stuff like? So the food, sleep. That's all set in place. And you said there was that party period time, but you come out on the... I'm just trying to, it's like because we're almost the same age, kind of balancing all that stuff to put on the best performance you can.
Yeah. Some people just have rules. Like I'm a social drinker, so my thing is I just try not to drink before the show. Even if other bands, the drummer has the most responsibility. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To lead that, drive that truck, and just lead all the musicians. If the drummer's having a bad night, the drummer can't have a bad night.
I believe it.
We're really responsible for everything.
Right.
So, just waiting till after. If it's going to be a party night, just wait till after. And you got to live your life. So you got to pick and choose your battles. If you're on the road for 5 days, you cannot party 5 nights in a row.
Yeah.
Especially since what I do is I'll get my 6 hours sleep, and then when the bus pulls into a new city, I get up and I either do some sort of a master class, or I teach private lessons at a drum shop, or I'll do a motivational event for a corporation or a high school. Mm-hmm. Then I'll go do my sound check, and then I'll have dinner, and then I'll do the show. And there'll be some weekends where I have 3 gigs, and I'll do a teaching event, sound check, and a show, teaching event, sound check, show. So I'm playing drums all day.
Yeah.
For 3 days in a row, and it's very exhausting.
Yeah. So at the end of the show, you're like, get me to bed.
Well, I'm going to go to bed. Maybe at the end of the show, if you want to have that glass of everyone's, you have that glass of red wine. I watch a horror movie, or something, or Bill Maher, just to unwind.
Right, exactly.
It's great.
Exactly. Yeah. What I was going to say before was the day we were going to meet, you guys were performing in town for CMA week, right?
Yeah,
you had sound check.
We did. Let's see. We had the CMT Music Awards. So for all the listeners out there, the award shows usually work like this. The day before is sound check and camera blocking, so the crew can kind of get an idea of how the flow of the show is going to go.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a soft call. You're only going to be there a couple days, and then the next day, the day of the show, usually there's an earlier call, and then there's a dress rehearsal. So the camera guys and the announcers and everybody involved with the whole thing can actually feel the whole rhythm of the show going down, and then everybody changes.
So walk us through like your day, like what you had to do that day.
So that day, we probably had like like a 11 a.m. call or something like that, and usually there's a lot of hurry up and wait, and you're just waiting for somebody to say, okay, you guys are, this is a 3-hour award show, and you are in the middle of the first hour. So, and then there's so you have a dressing room, and then there's all these wranglers, and these wranglers will come and say, Jason Aldean Band, 5 minutes, walking in 5 minutes, and then you follow the little wrangler down the hallway, and then the walls are disappearing and things are moving, and there's all these worker bees that are in audio and carpentry and lighting, and it's amazing energy back there. And then you just have to be focused and go, look, that's my set of drums. I have this amount of time. It's like playing the Grand Ole Opry. I have this amount of time to get out to that set of drums, plug my ears in, and then you're waiting. And then sometimes you have the feed from the announcer, like for example, there's like Ron White, there's a comedian or somebody that's going to introduce the actor, an athlete. And sometimes you have that feed of what they're saying through your ears, and other times I'm like, I don't have this feed, and he's like, don't worry about it. There's some guy off in the corner, he's going to go, watch me, and I'll give you a count, and it's like 5, 4, ladies and gentlemen, Jason, and I'm boom, and then you have to time that count where it's overlapping the announcer because they want less dead time. And other times you're like, give it a beat, and you're responsible for this. 60 million people watching this, right? And other times you're playing with what they call live, which is you're playing live. You're actually hitting your instruments. Everything is mic'd. That's live. And then you have where you are actually miming. And this happens a lot, and this was an invention of Dick Clark Productions, because the idea is that they can fit more acts onto the show, and there's less risk of problems with audio and signal path for instruments. So there's dummy heads on the drums, and we have what we call video cymbals. You know all about this, where there's two cymbals that are glued together, and you have to hit them a little bit extra hard to get them to move, so America and the world thinks that you're actually hitting real cymbals. And it's your personal responsibility to know the song cold, because you might have camera coverage from the front, the side, the back, and a jib, and one of those cameras is going to catch you hitting a cymbal at the wrong time or not playing the appropriate fill. It blows the whole mystique of the Hollywood factor. And it's like an actor hitting their marks or knowing their lines. And it blows me away the number of drummers that in high-level gigs that don't take the time to learn their own damn drum parts. Or they'll say, or it's a pride thing, it's like, well, I didn't play on this. Lonnie Wilson played on this, and no one's going to see me do this. No, we're watching. The whole world is watching.
Dude, I ran into you at our Starbucks. And I was like, man, that was a great performance. I saw you last week. This was maybe 4 years ago. And you're like, yeah, well,
we mimed.
Yeah.
No one has ever guessed that our band has mimed, which is amazing. This is the guitar players literally playing everything they would, and just actually moving and interacting with each other the same way. And a lot of times the musicians will be miming, and then Jason's vocal will be real. His vocal is always real. He's never lip sync, ever.
Really?
And what's great about being in a band with like really strong players and a really strong singer is that a lot of times you'll get a reputation as being a high-energy, reliable group of musicians. So then the producers of these shows will say, miming, lip-syncing. Aldean's band is either going to play live or they're going to mime, and Aldean's vocal is going to be live. And they'll hire us. They'll put us in a portion of the show where they need a boost of energy or something where they can really cornerstone and say, we can rely on these guys.
That's awesome.
I think that's something just all drummers and musicians could take out there for their personal career. And your career trajectory is, your reputation is everything. Your reputation precedes you, and your reputation is the cumulative result of your actions over an extended period of time. So if you're consistently doing the right thing, like being over-prepared and never mailing in a performance and always playing at the best of your ability, word gets around fast. Not as fast as you not doing those things.
Exactly. Right.
Bad news travels twice as fast.
It does.
So
you learn that in retail. Yeah. The customer has a bad experience.
Customer service is a thing of the past. So the only reason why I am such an avid, I know there's better coffee out there. There might be better coffee out there, mom and pop spot. But when I go to Starbucks, I could be at one end of the airport and I'm staring at a Pete's or a Seattle's Best, and I will see if I have time to make it to the other end of the airport to go to Starbucks, because I know when they walk in, They greet me with a smile.
Yeah.
The product is consistent.
Yeah.
And they treat me with respect. They know the product, and it's just like it's service with a smile. And
Right.
it's like they write my name on the cup. It's like I don't know. That's a thing of the past. So when I find products that I know, like, wow, I'm going to get this same product anywhere on the planet, it makes me feel special. I'll spend the money to do that.
Right.
And that's what we can do as musicians, because we are actually in sales, because no one is going to hire us to play music, which is, let's face it, people like music, but we don't need music. You know what I mean? I think that's maybe a problem with...
That might be a whole nother podcast.
This is a whole... Like, people don't put any value on it because it's one of those things... I mean, people will say, oh, I need music in my life. But yeah, but not to live. Like, you got to have food, shelter, clothing to live.
Yeah.
Right? So, but no one's going to pay me to play the drums until they buy into me as a human being. Do they want to spend time with me? Am I likable? Can I take direction? Am I a team player? Would they want to be on a bus with me for 23 hours?
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, people have to, we're selling ourselves first. And what can you do to sell yourself first? Look people in the eye.
Right.
Have a firm handshake. Do what you say you're going to do.
Right. And I want listeners to understand that where you're coming from with some of the shows that you're doing now applies all the way down to the club gig, to any show that you have, because this has come up many times before. And we've had stories of drummers that got called to do a last-minute sub. Maybe it's a certain Broadway gig with players that they didn't know.
Broadway, Lower Broadway, Nashville, Tennessee.
Exactly. Sorry.
Not Spider-Man, the Spider-Man on Broadway.
So they were reluctant to take the gig. They took it anyways. They bonded with the bass player. They came in. They brought their A game. That turned into an audition for an artist, which turned into a great road gig.
And changed their life.
Changed their life.